Morning, welcome back to Inside Tennessee. Roger Kane has been the lawmaker for the 89th District. He's not running again after 3 terms, and so we have Colleen Martinez and Justin Lafferty who are seeking that seat. Don and Susan.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about the politics of it. Justin, you had an interesting primary, to say the least. A couple of well-known names. 5 people in that race? At least 5, and one of them was former Sheriff Hutchison and former State Senator Stacey Campfield. So congratulations on your victory in that. What are you all hearing? You have Karnes, Hardin Valley, that area, a very high growth area, as we said when the show came on. What are you, I know you're knocking on doors. Are you knocking on doors as well?
Yes,
so what are you hearing from the folks in that district? What's their priority?
So the district is so vast and so different, and it even includes parts of Pleasant Ridge, Merchant area around the Victor Ashe Park, not Victor Ashe Park itself, but it's...
I thought you meant just not.
No, not Victor Ashe, no. Just
He's got his own district.
He does.
Everybody has different needs, and that's what makes it difficult about campaigning. I can't just go, one issue that's for the district, and then I'll eliminate other people. So in the Pleasant Ridge Merchant area, what I've heard there is that people want more access with sidewalks and greenways to get to Victor Ashe Park, and there are road expansion plans for that area. So it's just a matter of being a representative, helping get funding from the state, helping the county find funding to have those road expansions happen, so they get the sidewalks and so they get sort of the infrastructure that they need there. What I've heard in the Karnes area is that they'd like some more activity, some more outdoor activity, some more restaurants, some more places for kids to do things and have fun. I've been working with a community, a small group, to put in a fitness trail at the Karnes Senior Center maybe, or at Karnes, because that was what someone asked, is that they wanted to have more outdoor fitness in Karnes.
Is there space there? It seems
well,
to be developed quickly. Behind the Senior Center there is, but there's a little issue between how much use the football fields have and if we can put something around the ends. Yes, there's always something. And it's hard to do that and campaign at the same time, so we'll see what happens with that. Plus, they need road expansions there, and there's lots of complaints about traffic jams and all sorts of things like that. And then Hardin Valley, I think, as a representative, I would go to Nashville and try to allow them to become a town in Hardin Valley, because they've had roadblocks and headbutting with the home developers there in Hardin Valley, and there's lots of complaints about traffic, and there aren't enough emergency exits there, and they tried to force a group in Hardin Valley tried to get one home developer to put in sidewalks and greenways like Farragut had done, and they went to NPC went to the court, and they're not allowed to do that.
Justin, let's hear from you.
Wow.
What about that idea of making Hardin Valley a town?
Oh, that's interesting. I'd not heard.
Had you heard that?
Right.
I had not heard that before.
And Colleen, you have.
Right.
It's not just your idea. You've heard that from constituents.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I thought that I'd knocked on a lot of doors. No, some of the things that I hear, keeping our state financially responsible. It's real easy, especially in these good times, for governments of any stripe to get carried away with their own selves and start spending what they see as excess. It's really our tax dollars still. A lot of fiscally conservative people in the 89th District. In downtown, or in the downtown portion, I have heard some people say that they would like some community improvements. A senior center somewhere in the downtown area, which is something that I would like to bring up to some of our local officials in the not too distant future. But unfortunately, I've got to get through this campaign first. As you know, this takes a little bit of time. There's also the issue of the transportation. You've got school-created roadblocks in both Hardin Valley and Karnes. And then in Solway, you have the rush hour created roadblock for the people that live back there close to the river. I don't know exactly how you go about fixing all of those things at once. Road projects are a huge undertaking. They take many years of planning.
A long time to happen.
Precisely. But we've got to start finding some solutions for those people out there. In some cases, it's just downright dangerous, particularly there through Solway.
Well, it's going to be an interesting race. Both of you, as I said, it's refreshing that we're going to have a non-incumbent and somebody who will be showing up who hasn't been sort of a chronic candidate, if you will. I suppose the next time we meet you, Justin or Colleen, one of you will be heading off to Nashville. We wish you both good luck and we will see you again probably in November, one of you. We're going to take another break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about all the crazy politics that have been going on in the state